Hello and welcome to the Magical Learning Podcast. As you can see from our description today, we have a guest, and I'd love to introduce you to Vinisha Rathod. Now, before we get to Vinisha and her book, we always like to know, V, how's your week been?
Man, my week has been good, really hectic. I'm also a small business owner, but I have been in the middle of my book launch. So I had family fly in all over Australia, to fly in for thank you. Yeah, mine copy too. So to fly in. So I had a book shower, like things
How
being
awesome.
untraditional. So we had a
Yes.
huge party for the book shower from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. And then that was me, yep. And then, unconventional but hilarious and fun. And then I had a very formal event, and that was amazing with very, very close group in a club that I'm part of. And it's just getting the word out. I've got 3 more upcoming events. So this month is very much event management hat is on.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to our podcast. I'm sure this will be the first of many because we've already had a bit of a chat and you're vibing us and we're vibing you very, very well. So before we talk about your book, but we will both hold up the book for those who are looking on YouTube, which is The Briefcase Effect, which we'll talk about in a second. Really interested, before you got to the book, tell us a little bit about your journey so far, because it's a really interesting journey.
Oh, thank you. So I did the whole traditional, went to university, studied international business and marketing. And then I thought that I would move to London because I had a deal with my parents. I was actually going to go before I studied. And they go, what are you going to do when you get to London? I was like, I don't know, work at a bar. They're like, you're going to study a degree. I'm so glad they told me to do that because 18 in London, I much prefer partying with my friends. So then I did that. And I worked in a company for 7 years during my university and high school, and I was going to go down the marketing path. And the reason I'm sharing this part of the story is very intrinsically related to the book. So a couple of months, like a month after I finished university, my father was diagnosed with cancer. And so my plans for London kind of went out the window, and it was very, very rapid. So we found out in Feb, and someone has to run the house. So Mum and my brother were looking after my dad full time. My sister was in school, and I had to stop everything and keep the house running because unfortunately when you're going through something like that, someone has to cook and clean and keep the things running. And so I stopped working, and I had a path of marketing. This is why I'm just so intrinsically related to how the book goes like this and why my life went like that. So I was going down the path of marketing because that's what I studied, and I actually got an internship with the company I worked with for 7 years, a retail company, City Beach back in Queensland where I was from. But I had to stop it because it was too much going on at home. And so then I didn't really know what was happening with my career and life. And then I thought, he's getting better. Maybe I can start looking. And then unfortunately, he passed away in June.
Ouch.
Danette, I was 22, and watching someone you love dying in front of you, like that will never,
sucks.
ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was the closest person to me. I was really, really, really close to him. So it devastated me. At the same time, I was meant to also get married to someone, and then he left as well.
Wow.
Fun times, everything.
Wow.
It was a very big year, all at once. And then, so then I got a job that was an executive assistant or like a business management support lead at a TAFE close by. I know they reached out to me, an agency, and I didn't know, but my headspace wasn't the best. Like I was trying to recover. I also had my family's fighting, and it was just chaotic. My mum was like a 43-year-old widow. My dad was 50 when he passed. Wow. So she was young, and so she's heartbroken. And so managing that, my siblings and that. So I took a job that was better for me to be closer to home, but also still challenging. But it was great to be in a new environment because then I wasn't reminded every day because he passed away in the house that we grew up in. So it's a reminder every single day when you get home. And so from there, I grew, and I was actually really good at it because I worked with 50 teachers. I was a business assistant to them, and I worked with tradies. It was great. And then I got noticed very quickly for my skill set because we're always known to be hardworking, have initiative, have drive. And then very quickly I was picked up and promoted into another role. And then I always had, thank you, I always had people see my potential. So as much as one of your brilliant previous podcasts with Vanessa talked about women and bullying, it was the first time I experienced that. And I think there's so much you learn when you do actually in-person working that you don't pick up as much when you're remote. So I actually learned a lot in those few years. And then I realized that if I don't move to London, because my partner I was with, he left, and I was like, you know what? And I was healing my heart from everything, but then I was stagnant. And I go, if I don't move to London now, I'll never leave. And I think we always have, I call them sliding door moments, where we have moments in time where we can go this way or we can go this way. So I had a really great career. Like they all knew who I was. But I was like, oh, I really, really, really wanted to go to London, and my heart's a little bit better. So if your heart and head is not in a good headspace, even if you go wherever in the world, you'll be carrying that. And I think my heart was a bit more healed. We did a 1-year prayer in India, up in the mountains for Dad, during those years. And I really recollaborated my heart. And I was like, I'm ready to move overseas, and I'm ready to do the next part of my journey. And so I did. I moved to London and had the best time, as we never really had much money growing up. So I learned about travel, and I was like, I'm going to come and find my career and what to do with my life. But I was like, oh my God, I'm going to love Europe instead. I was like, this is the best. So I worked as executive assistant to boards and CEOs, to chairpersons, to very senior people across the health district. I worked for the first blind transgender person in Parliament.
Wow.
And the reason she hired me to work on a political campaign and work with her is because in the interview I said I like to give hugs. So if anyone out there,
Me too. Huge hugger.
she was like, I like her. And I was like, that's so weird. It's so said that to me now. But anyway, I was young and I was ready on a journey. So I did that. And then I also worked at pub crawls as a pub crawl leader, because I went to so many. And they're like, can you please become a pub crawl leader? So I'd have an umbrella, and I would lead pub crawls because I went to so many of them, because I brought all my friends. Anyone that came to visit, I was like, come. So then I had like a lot of random things in my career, and I was a really good executive assistant. I didn't love it, but I was really good at it, because executive assistant, for anyone listening, is people that are managing the leader's time and energy, and everything. And it's really interesting to see how people treat you, because you're not the actual leader, but you have access to all of them. And if you're good, you're treasured. And I see a lot of people put down EAs, and I was like, man, that job is hard. And I was really good at it. And I had like my dream job right at the end, but my visa was finishing, and I said they couldn't really sponsor me. And that was when they were part of EU. So they had to prove all of Europe couldn't do what I could do, which, to be honest, they could do. So then I came back, and everyone is asking me, and it's so intrinsically motivated for the book. That's why I'm telling a little bit of a longer story. I came back, and everyone's like, what are you doing with your life? You have no money, you have no connections, you have no job, you have no partner. And I'm like, well, I am a lot more experienced in life, but I grew up in Brizzy, and none of my circle did what I did. So it was really hard to relate. We didn't have much. So I was really, really depressed at home. Mum was depressed at home with me. And so, I just didn't know how to job hunt. I didn't know how to bring myself together. I didn't know, Mum was married to Dad at 16. We came here as an immigrant family. Like, we were really young. We all come here. I didn't know how the working world worked. And so when I came back, I just didn't know what to do with my life. And I think we all will have those times, like, what are we doing? Like, I'm a journalist. I'm good at a lot of things, but I don't know what to do. And so then my job, I said it in the book as well. I get a job as a retail person for a month or two during the Christmas period, because my friend could see how depressed I was, and I just wasn't hitting anything with the interviews. I wasn't getting the jobs. I was just one of many in a sea of CVs. And so then I got that, and then I got a job at Ernst & Young as an EA, and my boss was very quickly saying, "Wow, why don't you do more? Like, you do consulting." And I was like, what the fuck is that? I was like, people get paid for this to solve people problems?
Yes.
This is insane. And then I learned about child protection and domestic violence. So think of workplace health and safety, but with a child lens. And now we're seeing that with exactly what happened with the daycare centres, right? Yes. Where you look at we know that, and I'm sorry if this is triggering for everyone, but we know that pedophiles exist. How do we keep pedophile-free environments and protect the most vulnerable? And that's our children. And we had I had points that I looked at and supported with, and my boss was leading that. I had 5 people I was managing at the time.
Nice.
And my boss was leading that, and I got really into that, and then I really got into domestic violence, and that's where that passion kind of really came out because I discovered it while working. And then then I shifted into consulting, and then met my partner at the time. He moved to Sydney. I followed him. Then I went to Sydney. And then I got tapped on the shoulder to join Boston Consulting Group, so another big 3 strategy firm specializing in org design, so right people, right roles, but everything to do with people and business, the intersection, I was doing that. So I was doing that for clients, and I was training people internally. I was actually really good at the job. And then 2020 hits, COVID hits, big time for reassessment. I think it happened to a lot of people.
Yes.
And engaged a professional, and it was very clear that we were no longer aligned. And so I was going through that separation, and then at the same time, things escalated. And so then at the end of the year, I was like, I need a new sea change with everything. So in 2022, I went on a Eat, Pray, Love journey to America. Actually, can just say this because it's all in America. We're at time in America now. I went to America, and like, again, same scenario. Not much money, no job, like single again.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same scenario. Like, what are you doing with your life? And I was like, I don't fucking know. Just trying to manage.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, what are you doing here with no job, no nothing, no this? And I was like, I'm on my Eat, Pray, Love journey. I said this to customs. They were like, I was like, the lady is from America. How do you not know her story? And they're like, looking at me. I was like, I'm going back. You guys don't have healthcare here. I'm not staying here. And then I stay there for about 5-6 weeks. I also get COVID, stay back a little bit more, and then I come back. Again, same scenario. What am I doing with my life? I'm living in share houses. I need money to pay for things. Like, things had escalated quite a lot. So I had to pay for things personally. And so I was back to it again. What do I do with my life and time? Like, I don't know. And I said, you know what? I really love the people culture org design. I love solving complex people problems. I was really good at it. But maybe I thought it was time to step into a new industry. And I thought maybe tech. But I only knew about the big ones. I didn't know anything else. I reached out to a recruitment agency to help me find a job, an exec search one. And they really liked me. And they said, why don't you join us? And I was like, okay. They just do us a pitch deck from C to D. And I was like, what is a seed? Is that a plant? Like, I don't know. And for anyone listening that doesn't know about the tech world, there are different funding stages for different sizes of businesses. And so obviously, as the growth of any business, it doesn't even matter if it's tech or not. You all have different problems when you're trying to figure out deals that people want to buy versus as you do have something people want to buy, you're going to have different problems of staff transitions, expansion, go to market. So you go through different stages and you get funding accordingly. But that does not change with any business you work with. So I created something in a few days. They were like, how'd you create this? And I said, I listen to a lot of podcasts and do a lot of reading. I get a lot of information and I make it concise, and I always make everything I do customer led. And the reason I'm having the themes of this is it comes through the book about timeless skills. I always had them. And I think if you carry those, no matter what you do, you will find success, because it's not as common as we think. It's like common sense, not as common. I'm like, these skills, I thought were normal, but realized they're not. I was like,
not
what?
at all.
I was like, I thought these are normal skills. Like initiative? No? Okay. And then so I started working there, and so it's all very interlinked of the story of the briefcase effect. Why a briefcase? So I started working in tech, and they really liked my personality. And I was working like team of 20, like across Australia. And in my Sydney team was like 4 or 5 of us guys. It was great. And I had the best time, and they got to get my personality. I worked with some amazing people. And then I was like, Mom, I really need a laptop bag. So then I saw a person on the bus with half a litre of milk and a briefcase. And I was like, the briefcase reminds me of Dad. And when I worked in the tech world, it was a very close parallel to working in sci-fi because I didn't know anything about tech. Like I was learning, absorbing, I was going through a lot personally. So I had a lot of time to dedicate towards work. And so I started going to a lot of networking events because I was hungry. I was learning about this world. And then I was like, Mom, I need a briefcase. So about 6 months after I started this role, I was in Brisbane looking for a briefcase and found one eventually. And I had four of the ladies to help me do the locking of my briefcase. I should show it to you. It's over there.
Yeah. Go grab it.
So then I had this briefcase. Well, maybe I should show you the more plain side. This briefcase. And you know how you have to do the numbers like this?
Yes.
Now everyone knows that it's my father's birthday. So you could probably calculate it quite easily. So it's Dad's birthday. And I had four of them try and figure out the coding because no one's buying a briefcase anymore. Then I did. And I came back. And then everyone's like, oh, you have a briefcase. I was like, it's my handbag. And they're like, this is disappointing. There's period pads in here. I was like, it's my handbag. I was like, sorry. Not used to a small brown girl holding a briefcase, but because I missed my dad so much.
Yes.
And he would have loved sci-fi because he was always the same with work. He was like, I don't know if I want to be an accountant. I hate it.
Yep.
This, that. We're all trying to like integrate all the things and always be passion-led and everything. I was like, you're not always going to enjoy what you do. And that's fine. Like, it's fine. Can we stop making people feel guilty? And so then when I was working at this tech recruitment company, I didn't recruit, but I heard everyone talk about passion and stuff. I mean, that's going to go more into the book. But I was like, you shouldn't make all your decisions because in corporate land, no one cares. These are creatives and tech that have the ability and luxury to even think about what they like and what they do for work. And so, yeah, then that kind of built from there. Yeah, and then I worked at this tech recruitment company, did expansion, go to market, quite a few things, and then finished up with them end of 23. And then I started my own business last year. Yeah, called P3 Studios, so People, Purpose, and Partnerships. And did some work in the Middle East. So people, culture, it's all the same. All businesses and people are the same.
Yes.
Everyone wants to feel like they matter. Everyone wants to feel like they're heard. They want to hear from their CEO and they want to hear from their manager.
Yeah.
That's literally, there you go, everyone. Now you've solved all your people problems. That's literally how it works. And that does not change because people are becoming more and more similar as well in what they expect. Yeah, so then I finished up with that. And then, yeah, this year I was like, my friend. So I started doing these personal branding sessions. That's like, we'll go more into the book there. I started doing these sessions and my friend was like, you got to tell people how you do this because it's really different. It's not marketing. It's grounded in a lot more things. And that's not my specialty. But I was like, I'll start doing these sessions. I give people 20-page documents. I really dive deep into them, but get really crystal clear. What do you do? Why? Like, what are you good at? What do you do, and why do you do it? And then, and then my friend's like, why don't you just write a book about it? I was like, how hard's writing a book? Australia falls asleep in mid-Feb, in January, February anyway.
Yes.
So then I did it, and it's hard. Anyone wants to write a book, it's hard. Oh my God, if you don't use chat, and I don't, I usually use my brain.
Yes.
So I did it within months, and now it's out. So I started in mid-Jan. Completely underestimated how much is involved. And now we're here talking. Sorry, that was such a journey, everyone. I hope that was somewhat interesting.
That's a good journey. So now let's talk about your book, The Briefcase Effect, which I'm holding up on screen. Tell us, why did you've shared a bit about why you wrote it. So really expand on the whole idea of the briefcase effect.
Yeah, so when people ask me in one line, what is the briefcase effect? I go, okay, how do you become a magnet for opportunities and A players? This is what I call amazing people, like you, Danette. Obviously, we're A players.
Thank you.
And so how do you become a magnet and drawn to amazing people and amazing opportunities and become an absolute detractor for dickheads? So, or people who harm and hinder you. They don't want to be around you, which I'm very lucky that they don't. And I wanted to show people that even if you don't know what you want to do with your life, just having that framework about being really clear on what you do, what you're really good at, and what drives you, I think connects to all the parts of being a human. Because I think your purpose and passion, or whatever you want to call it, your drive, I call it your fire.
Yes.
Because I think it's the thing that gets you out of bed. It's the thing that keeps you motivated in the days that you're down. And I just had this framework that I was working with people on that. And then I would extend it to go, well, how do you build your network? How do you, how do you show up online? I only started my online presence 3 years ago because I was working for that tech recruitment company and they did a salary guide. And one of my values or things I care about is gender pay transparency.
Yes.
Like it impacted me a lot when I was married, like not having that equality and not having anything to kind of as a benchmark to even fight for myself. And you had a guest that was amazing. You talk about the gender pay gap and how much we
Yes.
don't ask.
Yes.
And so one of my values is having that transparency. So I started posting for that because I was recruiting companies to provide data.
Yes.
And so it started being intrinsically motivated to support and help. And I could reach more audience. And then I just started posting more. And I started posting about things I learned about because my audience on my LinkedIn, like I had no presence. Like I was surprised I was found on BCG with it. I had minimum just like I worked here. That's it.
Yes.
But now I built it. And so when I started my own business, people already knew who I was, because I had built such a network and such a presence online and offline that I know that I could teach others to do the same. And I wasn't given network. So this is for anyone who is curating a life on their terms. And it's really grounded in a lot of examples. It's like you're sitting with me in a one-to-one session. So let's unpack. So it's all in briefcase methodology. Let's unpack you, figure out how you work, what's important to you. One of the big two questions I think I was really surprised by is when you can ask yourself, what is the biggest compliment someone can give me, or biggest compliments, and what is the biggest insult? It's not the eulogy one. I thought, everyone says the same thing when they're about to die. Like no one wants to say, everyone's like, I want to be known as kind and loving and giving and generous, but when you know what your insult and your compliment, you can get a lot of data. And then I would look at your work history. I would look at and look at your mentors and people you admire. Like there's all that in the book, and there was themes.
Yes.
And then that would go into then design your briefcase. So unpack your briefcase, figure out what's inside, design your briefcase. So what do you want to be known for? What do you want to get better at? Carry is the next chapter. It's all about your community, your circle, your mind, like how you process things. And then I even have a friendship audit in there, which I'm really, really proud of. Yeah, you guys asked me earlier about the way that I look, and I was like, I don't carry like dickheads around my life anymore. Like flush them out. Like I don't. And who you have surrounding your circle has such an impact on your
Huge
success
impact.
and
Yes.
the life you live. Like I think one of the key things to life is having consistently beautiful experiences. You don't have to wait until I go on that perfect holiday or get that job or get that car to feel something. And then the last one is amplify, so your social profile. So the one I really like about the social and I want to highlight is we have always communicated through storytelling since the dawn of time.
Yes.
So this thing I really want to put out there is that we gathered in circles and we talked about storytelling. We had, and even all the cultures and religions did it, just in different ways, around a fire, in a hall, in a big town community center, in like the marketplaces. But we always had someone that would tell stories, and then we'd pass the stories down. And then we started writing them. Then we started having scrolls and books and TVs and movies and radio and podcasts. And now we've just extended it to social media.
And books.
As storytelling. And books, yeah. And books, because we're sharing knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And so social media is merely an extension of storytelling.
Yes.
But now we have a global audience at our fingertips. Whether that is for good or for bad, people can really, really, if they know how to use it well, can use it for good.
Yes.
And that can curate life on their terms. Like I was a no one. Like I'm literally writing this book as a no one. Nothing special. I don't even have thousands and thousands of followers. Like I haven't done extravagant things. But I live a very beautiful life. Like I'm so at peace. Like and I think a lot of people seek that.
Yes.
And that's really why I wrote the book, is that when you find your fire, like my fire, if I'm being really honest, is I want to reduce domestic violence. I want to reduce the wealth inequality gap. I want to create workplaces where there's no gender pay gaps and no sexual abuse at work. And there's a really beautiful quote from Ruth Bader Ginsburg
Yes.
that says, fight in a way that gets others to fight with you. Lead in a way that gets others to fight with you. So my mission is not divisive. I don't cut out men from the conversation.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of men join me because
Yes.
I was like, well, do you think this world is built for your daughters? Like, honestly? And they're like, oh, and I was like, yeah, well, help me build better. And I've tripled down on my skills to do that. So I get invited to a lot of things to talk about the commercial impact of domestic violence. But I'm also really clear on what makes me money. And I'm really clear on what people pay for. So I'm not delusional in that. And I find that a lot of, especially women, will get into their passion is like a hobby than a career. So I really need them to use more powerful language to get them the seat on the table that I know will have an ongoing effect. But this book is also out with so many men as well who are also looking for what that fire is inside them. So it's a balanced book with practical exercises. It's very career driven, which is what I like about it. It's the book I wish I had. So that's why it's called A Personal Brand Action Plan for the Curious and Courageous, because it would have saved me a lot of breakdowns. A lot of breakdowns. Sorry, that's so much of me talking.
No, that's great. And it's great because, one, your passion's coming through like just so beautifully, and it's so on brand with the book. And the book's a fabulous book. I love the practicality of it, the questions, the checklists, all of that sort of stuff. So for me, it's awesome.
Thank you.
And really curious about the inside out branding, because it's quite different from other people's approaches, and why that is so important. So would you mind sharing just a little bit more about that whole inside out branding thing? And I would love for you to show people the stickered side again of your briefcase, because it's so cool.
So yeah, I did this on purpose. So Briefcase is very, very, very loved in the tech world. They were like, oh my God, it symbolizes capitalism. And I was like, oh yeah, it does. So I started putting all my stickers on there. And I was like, when I meet a brand or if I worked with them, I'm like, can you put a sticker? My favorite one is like, listen to sex workers. I was like, love and engendered violence. I was like, yes, please.
Nice. Yes.
So I always try to do political messaging on there too.
I love it.
We've got to make these things fun.
Yes.
And so inside out branding, really great question. So I think a lot of people, when they're starting to get themselves out there, they always think about, okay, what would the audience like? What's trending? And I think we're moving away from that in our society. Like, there's a lot of talk about authenticity, and in the book I actually break that word down because I think it gets misconstrued, like sustainability and many other things. And authenticity is something you can work towards. You're not born authentic. You choose to be. And you can learn to be. Like, you don't, like, I know not everyone is empathetic, but you can choose to be compassionate. Like, you can actually learn how to do that. And I think the same with authenticity. So I think in the way that we're going is, if you're really, really clear on what your skills are, and I call them superpowers, some people don't like that word, but I don't really care. Like, if I just use myself as the example, I think I just want to use myself as the example because I want to talk about it, how inside out branding has worked for me and how it can work for you. So, that you as in like everyone else. So when I do pitching or if I meet someone new, I bid for connection, not transactions. And that's aligned to my values, which we talk about in the book about depth. One of the most important things for me is to be around people that I'm aligned with and who want to build better and make the world better. So one of my bookmark is, may your love for humanity be stronger than your need to exploit from it. And find people who are like that as well, right?
Love that.
And the only way to attract people like that is to become like that yourself.
So
if I look at what I've done, if I go, okay, V, what do you do? What's in the briefcase, blah, blah. But I go, what do I do? Oh, hey, let me just share with what I'm good at, what I do, and why. I build connections and trust quite quickly, and which I didn't know was a skill. FY is a skill. So I met more people, and I'm like, oh, that's
huge
a skill.
Yeah,
I didn't know. That's why it's so good to do these exercises, because you really got to know what do you do that's easier for you than others, because you've got to capitalize on that. So I build trust and connections quite quickly across all groups, because I worked with senior leaders my whole life, to the most junior, to children, to animals, whatever. I also have a very commercial mind that can grow your business, but I understand how much human behavior gets in the way of decision making. So I ask you, how many commercial decisions are based on bias, then what sound? So that question's a hook. That question, anybody, whether you worked at McDonald's, whether you were in senior leadership, every person I know is like rolls their eyes or knows a story of like, why did they do that? So already they're engaged. Okay. And then I go, okay, so what I do is I build a lot of clarity and alignment with companies and people. So I build great places to work. So great places to work, early stage, co-founder alignment, end game. Do they know where they're going? If you're going to renovate your house to live in it versus to sell it, you make different decisions. Same with a business. So do that. Later stage, change management, org design, right people, right roles, all that kind of stuff. Culture, high-performing teams. And I do that because if your company is profitable and a great place to work, the best companies hire A players.
Right.
And A players can come from anywhere. They're not just limited by the school or the color of your skin or your gender. A players come from anywhere. And guess what? A players love working with other A players. How good is watching sports when they all fucking work together than when you're just battling and working with a team that doesn't do anything?
Yeah.
We love working with great people. Great people do.
Yes.
Which, for me, reduces the wealth inequality gap because A players come from anywhere. And that, for me, reduces domestic violence.
Yeah.
Because one of the reasons that people don't leave relationships is lack of access to money and a community, which is what workplaces give. Both very, very personal stories to me. I would have been a lot harder to leave my relationship if I did not have a career, and I would have never had a career if people throughout my whole life did not see my potential. They didn't wait for a diversity program. The best leaders don't need to do that.
Correct.
They see talent, and this is not just me talking. This is widely known.
Yes.
And so with that, everything I do in terms of what I post, what I talk about is related to all these things. Yeah. So companies know that if I'm working with you, the reason I'm not going to shove domestic violence up your throat, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure you're profitable and you're a high-performing team, because there's a direct correlation to making money.
Correct.
But what I say to a lot of people, when I'm on my mission to create places that don't have gender pay gap and don't do sexual abuse.
Yep.
So I go build better.
Yes.
Fund those other businesses that don't allow it.
Yep.
I can't change the Goliaths. I can't change them. And look, some of them can try. So if there's culture work and they want to and it's leadership led, but I'm not going to fight on things that I can't change.
Yes.
So I look at, and I really encourage, build better. Build and support those businesses, doesn't matter male, female, non-binary, whatever, that don't allow that behavior. And you know what? They're going to be making a lot of money because they're going to work with A players, and A players are going to be your eyes and ears of the business that will grow your business. There's a direct correlation to doing this work commercially. And because I know I have the skill set for it. Yeah. And so a lot of the other work I do is with this framework and with this book is I actually work with sorry. So good. What I do is I actually work with a lot of groups, and I work with people one-to-one, and I've had groups with women where we go, how do we articulate ourselves so we can get into those positions of power? Because I always say with domestic violence, you've got two stages. You've got recalibrating, where your nervous system is all over the place. You might even go back to the person, but you're just resetting your body. You're in no state, and I've been there and I get it. Like, you're just in no state to think about finding a job. And then you've got rebuilding. The number one thing when you're rebuilding your life is getting money, is getting work. To be getting work, you need to have confidence. What's the number one thing you lose when you're going through something like that? Your confidence. So I know the importance of this work, and that's why I'm very aligned to what I say yes to and what I say no to. Right? And I think that's really important for people, because we know we're lovely people. We want to say yes to everything. So I know, like, I will volunteer my time to something like the Arise Foundation, which works with women who've gone through abuse and looking for financial independence and getting them job ready. And I know that my work can help them with that. And whenever I do something, I will always try and keep a spot for someone who's experienced domestic violence, because I know one of the key things to do is to help them, break that cycle and get them into those circles, get around people who support them, because for so long your confidence is shattered. And I also know that when I'm making more and more money in my angel investment thesis, I want to go into jails. I want to go into they're called social refugees. I want to go into rural and remote. It's not about saving. What I want to do is find the diamonds. I want to find the people who want to get out of the cycle. They need an opportunity. Not everyone has a dad who has a friend that bumps into them when they're 17 and be like, oh, do you want a job? Oh, I got here all by myself. I was like, you had like 12 steps ahead someone who like literally did it. And so I know like how I want to tackle the issues I care about. And it doesn't come from a genuine place, and it doesn't come from a place of needing to save or to make me feel good. Like I do it because I look at every single, I'll start crying. Every time I see a child, I'm like, we got to make the world better. I'll start crying, sorry.
That's okay.
We got to make the world better
to,
for them.
It shows you care.
So we just have to make the world better for them because it's shit.
Big virtual hug. So, yeah, we love when we interview authors to understand their writing process. And you said yours was really quick. So, yeah, often we have people thinking, I've got a message, I want to get out there. So how did you go about writing this beautiful book? And take your time, like take a breath, because I can see that last answer, it came from your heart, which is beautiful.
Thank you. Okay, for anyone that is listening and thinking about writing a book, pure ignorance.
Ignorance is bliss in this case.
There's no one really close in my circle has written a book before, so I didn't really know what to expect. And I was like, how hard is writing a book? Because, when I do my one-to-one sessions, I give people a 20-page document. So I thought it was just an extension of that.
Yes.
Yeah, I did not know. So I met with, so I went self-publishing route because I like things done my way and I'm very pedantic and I wanted it done fast. I knew the message because I'm hearing a lot about personal branding. I knew the message and it's mainly coming from men. I knew the message needed to come out this year. I had such a strong gut feeling. So I'm like, it's got to be out this year. So I had the chat in December. Then I was like, you know what? Mid-Feb, I'll have the manuscript. Australia's asleep in January anyway. Wow, I severely underestimated how much is involved in writing a book. What I did that, because I was writing so quickly, is I built in public.
Yes.
And I was really surprised how many people were involved with my decision making. From the cover to the title. I want to share a little bit about the title because I was actually going to call this "Fuck Personal Branding" with the F with the thing. Because what I wanted the feeling of is a person at the airport sick of hearing personal branding and like pick up the book like, oh, that's how I feel. But then my girlfriends are like, but your book is all about personal branding. I was like, very true. And then I was like, the Briefcase Effect is too close to me. Like, I don't think it's a universal audience because everyone who loves me knows the briefcase and loves the briefcase. So I thought it wasn't personal. And this book, but then I really checked myself and I said, this book is about servitude. It's not about my ego.
Yes.
And I'm not, it's insane. I went through all my social medias, LinkedIn, people I hadn't heard from in years. They came back to me and like, Briefcase Effect. And I was like, I don't know. And then it was insane. So it was really, and then even the cover, like this, the personal brand action plan for the curious and courageous. Like, yeah, like I involved everyone. Like, and I went through like millions of iterations. Now, even if I look at the color, originally I went for a pink, but then I actually can find that'd be quite divisive and not gender friendly. And I've had old people, young people, middle age, like mums returning to work. Like, this is a book for everyone.
Yes.
That is literally like, how do I get the balance right? And how do I not have to wait for that one thing? How do I become not complacent but content?
Nice.
So you don't lose your drive, because I've definitely not lost my drive. But I've definitely found my peace, and I have a great time all the time, because I literally changed my personal and professional environment to curate that. And I'm very clear on in the direction I want to go, and at least what I do and who I surround myself with. And I think this is a very universal thing I see. I see so many people with money, Danette, who are lost.
Yes.
And they are wasting it. And I'm like, give it to me. I want to do stuff in men's mental health.
Yes.
Like, even if you don't like women, give me the money. I'll at least work on that bit. Or like, give me the money and I want to break cycles. Like, when you help people who are genuine and want to make the world a better place, it helps all of society. You just don't cut out one group. And so then I started writing it, and it was really amazing because I didn't know building in public would build the excitement. Yeah. So even like this thing to the cover, I went through like, because I'm a psychopedanticness. This is why I know my customer service like this and the way it operates like this, because even the title cover, poor girl, we went through so many iterations of this title cover. Even the briefcase, this briefcase, because everyone was like, why isn't your briefcase on there? And I was like, oh man, like, because it's not about me, it's about your briefcase.
Yes.
But then what I do is that because people looking online and people listening. What I do is when I sign the book, if you want me to sign a copy and come to any of my events, what I do is I have a briefcase sticker and I put that on
Yes.
top to say it's been
Love
signed.
that.
So you can actually have
Yep.
my briefcase on there. But
Yes.
for everyone else, I want this book to be able to go to executives. I want it to go to large corporations, but also to startups and small businesses because
Yeah.
it is applicable, and having something more friendly is good. So the writing process was, I'm not joking, it was hard. Like
Yes.
I listened to a podcast that said, you're going to want to like kill your editor because they're going to cut out bits that you thought were important. And you're
Yes.
like, yeah. So you have to keep reminding yourself that this book, just be clear on why you do it. Some
Yes.
people are like, I just want to prove to my mom that I'm the best, or I want to tell my bullies like I made something of myself. I'm like, good for you. Like, write a book for that reason.
Yes.
My reason was servitude. My reason is like, I'm writing this for the girl who wished she had this. The amount of times that she broke down, trying to figure out a career, didn't have anyone to show her how this whole thing works, and now is living a life where she's making it work and wants others to do the same. Because for me, when you find your fire and you find the best version of yourself, your essence on your sleeve, we all win. Like we all win.
Correct.
Like we all have a role to play for the next generation.
Yes.
So I wrote this book because it's an extension of my one-to-ones. It's a solution I can give to people. But I think for the writing process, for anyone that's considering, really know why, and then maneuver around that, and then really take your ego out of it, because you're gonna have some days where, and it's like a
Yes. Yeah. I love it. Yes. 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 This is the thing. I love it. Love it. Awesome. I love it. Awesome. I love it. Yep. Awesome. Yep. Beautiful. Now we're coming to the tail end, and I do have to be off here at 11 because I've got to climb it. But let's do the last question, which is, and this is where, and Jez will edit this out. This is where you can do your social media, etc. So, is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners and our viewers before we finish up today? Nice. Yes. Yes. Nice. Yeah. 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 Yes. Yeah. Yes. I love it. Love it. We do. Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Yes. Yes. Nice. Nice. Awesome. Awesome. Love it. Oh, thank you so much for joining us. For those watching, the Briefcase Effect. And can I say to all of our listeners and our viewers, thank you so much for supporting us. V, thank you for being here today. And to everyone, Have a magical week.